So it looks like we're going to have a repeat of Super Bowl 49 all the way back from 2015 of the Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. Completely different quarterbacks, completely different coaches, and pretty much the entire team. And I, for one, will be watching it only because I want to see what Clint Kubiak's offense does. I hope that Seattle beats the New England Patriots because I absolutely despise them. So for all the New England Patriots fans out there, sorry, but you're just probably the most hated team in football outside of the Chiefs, at least when it comes to Raiders fans. I am glad to see, however, that the Denver Broncos will not be going to the Super Bowl. However, there is a pass game coordinator, quarterbacks coach from Denver that is now getting very intriguing with the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to talk about him in just a second, but I want to focus on Clint Kubiak here for just a hot minute, and that is because Clint Kubiak has really solidified himself as the Ben Johnson of the coaching carousel this year. He is the hot ticket out there, and there are still a few teams who are without a head coach at this moment right now who will probably be waiting for the Super Bowl to be over and coax them to their team. Now, as a Raiders fan, I am hoping that all of the other teams will simply give up and the Raiders will hold to their plan, which is to get Clint Kubiak in the building. Because I think at this point, there is no coach that has a better pedigree and has a better track record of simply having dynamic offenses and winning teams that is coming into the current head coaching cycle right now than Clint Kubiak. We are going to have to wait and see. And this is the part that really sucks because he's going to the Super Bowl. We're going to have to wait a full 2 weeks to find out if Clint Kubiak will be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, with that being said, I do want to talk about a guy who is catching fire as well, just not at the level of Clint Kubiak. He's kind of the NFL's best kept secret right now. Most people don't even know, and that is the offensive pass coordinator / QB coach in Davis Webb, a former NFL quarterback himself, though, a backup for a few years, even backed up Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills. And we're going to talk about that tie and how that all comes together as well, and why that could play well for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, he is coming in for his second interview, and he is highly touted amongst some very important people in the NFL, including his quarterback that he used to back up in Josh Allen. But he's gotten high praises from Sean Payton. He's gotten high praises from Patrick Mahomes, Clint Kingsbury, who used to be his coach at Texas Tech, the Mannings, etc. He has a pretty good pedigree when it comes to having success with quarterbacks as well there in Denver as the quarterback's coach. Now, that being said, here's the problem with Davis Webb. He's never been an offensive coordinator. He's never been a head coach, and he hasn't been in the NFL coaching as long as some of the other head coaching candidates that are out there right now, so you don't really have a track record. Is it really Sean Payton that makes this guy look so good, or is he really the hot stuff? Is he the hot sauce that everybody wants to put on their taco? I don't know yet. But what the Raiders do know is that they have some interest in him. And this is very important because the Clint Kubiak sweepstakes, remember, the Raiders lost out on the sweepstakes of Ben Johnson. Well, we really thought it was going to be a lock. I mean, even Max Crosby thought that Ben Johnson was going to be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders last year, and that just did not turn out to be the case. You could have a very real situation where the Raiders wait 2 weeks, miss out on some hot names like a Davis Webb, for example, and he ends up signing with the Bills. Now, I don't think that that's going to happen, and here's why. Even though the Bills appear to have some interest in Davis Webb, they aren't probably the best fit for him, and the reason being is that their quarterback is Josh Allen, a guy who Davis Webb was the backup quarterback for. So it's going to be a little bit difficult for a guy like him to come in and now be the head coach of a superstar quarterback like Josh Allen. I just don't see how that would pan out. And so I honestly think that the Buffalo Bills are going to make a play at Klint Kubiak. It makes the most sense. You have a superstar quarterback. You have a really good team. What you need now is an innovative offensive mind who just wins. And a guy who's going to a Super Bowl simply makes sense for them. Now, if you're Klint Kubiak and you're looking at your options, go to the Buffalo Bills where you have a superstar proven quarterback in Josh Allen, or go to the Las Vegas Raiders who have a ton of draft picks and $100 million in cap space, but no quarterback in a team that's in complete disarray. Where do you go? And to me, it makes the most sense that Klint Kubiak would probably choose the Buffalo Bills over the Las Vegas Raiders, because the Bills are built to win right now, where the Raiders, it's going to be a 2 to 3 year project to maybe even get the Raiders into the playoffs again. So in my opinion right now, I don't think it would be wise for the Raiders to try and play the Klint Kubiak lottery like they did with Ben Johnson last year, because the Raiders, in my opinion, are going to lose. It's just a much more attractive job for him to go to the Buffalo Bills. It simply makes sense. So, the Raiders need to be looking at other coaches right now. Now, we know that they had some interest in Jesse Minter, and that didn't pan out. He went and got signed by a team. And we know that the Raiders have some interest in Daboll. Now, I'm not a big fan of that. The guy is 20-40-1 as a head coach of the New York Giants, and I'm just not seeing how this guy at all is going to bring us into winning form. I know he's highly respected out there, but I'm sorry, but if you can't win in New York, then you're just not the head coach that I want with the Las Vegas Raiders. That being said, I think it is time for the Raiders to go young and innovative, and maybe you do take a chance on a guy like Davis Webb, who comes highly touted. But I think that if the Raiders could coax Mike McDaniel from the Los Angeles Chargers and get him to come and be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, to me, I think this is the best case scenario. And then you take Davis Webb and you bring him in as your OC. This is, in my opinion, the best case scenario for the Raiders outside of winning the Klint Kubiak lottery. Now, the only reason that the Raiders would wait until after the Super Bowl and risk losing both Mike McDaniel and Davis Webb is if you already know for a fact, like you have a confirmation that is, word is bond, Klint Kubiak's coming to the Raiders. He's already basically told you that, listen, I'm coming to you guys no matter what. I want to come and build a Super Bowl championship style team like we did with Seattle, and we can do it in the draft with this Fernando Mendoza. Totally believe in this kid. We're going to draft him, and we're going to get some help on that offensive line and defensive line and secondary especially, and we're going to spend a bunch of money in the cap space. Because one thing about going to the Bills is Josh Allen makes a ton of money. And so he's always going to have to deal with that fact that the Bills are not going to ever have as much cap space to play with as he's going to have with the Raiders. So maybe that's a reason for him to come, because the Raiders do have that number 1 overall draft pick. And it does look like it's a done deal that Fernando Mendoza will be wearing the silver and black this coming season. In my opinion, I think that the Raiders are most likely, if you can figure out a way to get Mike McDaniel away from the Chargers and have him come be your head coach, and you can bring in Davis Webb, a hot, young, up-and-coming guy who just doesn't have the experience yet as a head coach, and you could put those two together as a tandem, two great offensive minds running this team with Fernando Mendoza as your starting quarterback for the 2026 NFL season. This is chef's kiss, and I think the Raiders will be a much better team for it. But if you got Klint Kubiak in the bag and you know for sure he's coming, he's giving you ironclad, yes sir, I am coming to be your coach. My word is my bond. As a man, I will not let you down. then you go with Klint Kubiak. The question is, what do you guys feel about this? Should the Raiders wait 2 weeks and play the sweepstakes for Klint Kubiak? Or do you make a play for Mike McDaniel, offer him the job, coax him away from the Chargers if he can get out of it contractually, which I believe at this point he can as of the recording of this video, and you bring in Davis Webb as your OC? Drop your comments down below, and as always, follow Daily Rumble Sports for more football and everything sports.